Welcome to episode 11 of Radio Arizona RV. Today I'm going to be talking about reverse osmosis water systems, or RO systems for short, or as they're known on the street, RO systems. Now, an RO system takes your tap water and basically turns it into pure water, clean water, good drinking water. So depending on where you're at in the country, this might be very important to you. Here in Arizona, for the most part, the state doesn't have very good water. It has a lot of salt in it, and RO systems remove the salt, and that's one of the great advantages of it. But it also gets rid of bad taste, any odors, and even makes the water look clean. Sometimes the water out of the faucets in Arizona doesn't always look so great, even in other parts of the country, but it takes care of that. Now, an RO system seems like a complicated system. And I'm not sure why it is that way, but it seems to have been complicated where people really don't want to deal with it. And even for an RV, a reverse osmosis system is a pretty simple thing to have in the RV. You have to have the space for it. That's the only thing. That's the only complication. And basically it goes underneath the sink near the kitchen sink, where you'd have a separate faucet that you'd use as drinking water or cooking water. And that faucet would be the RO faucet. So all the water that's been treated would go through that one faucet only. You wouldn't use this in your whole RV. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be able to keep up with it for the most part. But a reverse osmosis system is pretty simple. You have two pre-filters. One of them is going to be a sediment filter. The other one will be a carbon filter. You have a shut-off valve, which works with the RO system to shut off the water going into the storage tank, or the pressure tank as it's commonly known. So when the tank's full, the water just stops, because if it kept going through the membrane, then it would just end up going down the drain, wasting the water, wasting the membrane, and so forth. It has a flow restrictor, then of course it has a membrane, and then it has a post filter. Now the membrane is kind of the key to the whole thing, how much water you're going to get in a day, how quickly you're going to get that water. But the membrane's it's not a complicated thing, and it doesn't need to be. It's a membrane with different layers of material, and each layer does specific things. So basically, the good water goes through a layer of material, and then the bad stuff stays on the outside of that layer and basically gets flushed down the drain. It's pretty simple, but you really don't need to even bother yourself with learning about a membrane. All you need to know is what membrane will work for your application. And people that sell RO systems know this. They can help you with this. You want to find someone who's not going to oversell you. When you talk about gallons per day, be realistic. How many gallons per day do you really need? Do you need 100? Do you need 15? Do you need 2 gallons per day? If you're just making a couple pots of coffee and having a few glasses of water, you don't need a big system. It doesn't need to be complex. But even for a 30 gallon per day system, it's not that much. It's not a lot of equipment. It's not, 5 or 6 pre-filters and several post filters. It's just basically a different membrane and a storage tank. So the membrane, don't let it become complicated. You go to an expert, and they're all over the place. You can look on the internet. There's great websites. There's one called espwaterproducts.com, which has ideal breakdowns and explanations of everything. It really simplifies the whole RO system. And even the post filter, it's not an expensive filter. It's a pretty simple filter, readily available. So all these things are easy to get and easy to install. This is not something you have to pay someone else to do. If you can snap water lines together, and that's literally what it is, this isn't hard, and tie into a drain line, and attach some things to a cabinet or to the floor, to the side of your, inside your cabinet, put in a simple faucet with one line going to it, you can install an RO system. You don't need to pay hundreds of dollars for someone else to do this. It's basic. And when it's all done and working right, you'll have nice, clean, salt-free water. But an RO system takes more than just salt out of the water. It takes out sulfates, calcium, potassium, nitrates, iron, zinc, mercury, selenium, phosphate, lead, arsenic. Arsenic. Sometimes we might want to leave that in the water, depending on what's going on in our marriage and our household. Just kidding. Magnesium, nickel, fluoride, manganese, cadmium, barium, cyanide, chloride, cyanide again. Maybe we would want to leave that in there in some cases, huh? Get rid of some excess baggage. All right, but seriously, so it takes out all sorts of stuff out of the water, all these things that aren't good. Not that all water has lots of it in it, but if it does, it's going to remove it. So an RO system is a great thing to have if, buying bottled water is inconvenient, don't have a place to store it, so forth and so on, because this basically is what you're getting is bottled water at the end of the day. So you can check around someplace local near you that sells them, ask questions, really dig into what's best for you. How it works and how it functions isn't all that important to you. You just want to know which components to buy to install. And also, if you put your RV in storage or if it's in your house and you don't use it for months at a time, the membrane is the backbone of this. And membranes can't just sit and go dry. They need to be refrigerated if they're not going to be used for months at a time. So if you have a local water store, somebody that installs and sells all the parts, they might have a refrigerator system where you just store it there for the time you're gone or for the summer, whatever it might be. Then when you go back in, when you come back to town or get your RV out of storage, you go ahead and just pick it up and put it back in. It extends the life of the membrane. Like I said, it's the backbone of the system. That's the expensive part. So that's RO systems in a nutshell. There's more to it if you want to make there be more to it. Obviously, you have to select filters and how many and so forth. But when you talk to the experts, they'll be able to help you with that. But don't let it become complicated, some, thing that you can't understand. It's easy. You have colored tubes, some filters, a water or a storage tank, a membrane, and a faucet. Easy to install. And when you do it yourself, you'll save a ton of money. So that's it. I want to thank you for listening to Radio Arizona RV, episode number 11. If you have any questions, you can call us at 800-789-5588 or check us out on the internet at www.radioarizonarv.com.